The Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and it is week number 6. Where's the season going? Is flying by. I'm joined by my co-host, the man that used to be able to play the ukulele by ear. He uses his hands now. Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
That's doing great outside of a certain decision that happened last week in Athens, Georgia. Back from Buffalo and Toronto. I will say, I know we're a college football show, but Bills Mafia, it is a thing. It is pure unadulterated debauchery in those tailgates. I saw someone drink shots from a bowling ball and some Ron get sprayed on by mustard and ketchup. Chaos everywhere. So if you do want to go for a tailgate, it's just epic nonsense. Go watch the game up there in Buffalo. You'll have a lot of fun.
Listen, I might be a Browns fan, but the Bills are definitely my second favorite team.
Oh, that tailgate was insane.
That's awesome.
It's not just like people drinking and playing like cornhole and whatever. It was just debauchery everywhere you looked. And it was epic.
Crazier than the cocktail party tailgate?
Well, I would say it's all, that would be almost tight. Like imagine cocktail party, LSU, night game, and that would be like all very at the same level. It's just the things that you see. We walked away with my two other buddies. Children should not be going to that tailgate. There are certain tailgates that should be like no kids under 18 allowed walking through because it is just things happen.
Right. I wouldn't mind kids going to the cocktail party tailgate here in Jacksonville, but it's the aftermath when the game starts and it looks like a zombie apocalypse in the parking lot.
There were trucks of empty beer cans because up there in New York, you can actually change in a beer can for 5 cents. So people just have their truck beds empty and use them as trash cans and they drive them off and cash them in. Or people are so it's just the full spectrum is weird. It's a wild experience.
Sounds like it. All right, Chris. Now let's roll into college football here. We got a great matchup here. I should say 3:30 kickoff here, but it's a great matchup. This is probably the biggest upset of college football last season. The Vanderbilt Commodore at 5-0, 1-0 in the SEC. They're going to travel down to Tuscaloosa. The Alabama Crimson Tide coming off a huge win over Georgia. Right now, at time of record, the spread is 10.5. Alabama over-under is set at 56.5 here. It's been the Diego story for Vanderbilt, man. That kid has balled out for him. He's looking for a 20th year of eligibility. He's on the doctoral 3-time med school programs here. Ty Simpson, man, great game out of him. I've been impressed with him since he kind of picked himself off the mat there. And I think Alabama really liked having Jam Miller back. This is going to be an intriguing game. Does Alabama suffer a letdown from such an emotional high last week? I definitely don't think that they're looking past the Commodores in this game after last year, though, Fresh.
Now, that's the first thing I was thinking. Like last year was a huge win. It was epic, going back and forth. They blew a big lead, and the Ryan Williams touchdown and all that stuff. And it was just an environment. And then they go like, "Oh, we got Vanderbilt next week," and then Vanderbilt goes toe-to-toe and pulls it off. This year, the game in Athens was a little different. Georgia had a lot of chances. Even though Alabama got to an early start, it didn't seem like it was an epic blowout, like an emotional pendulum being swung. And Pavia talking a little bit in the offseason, like it's gotten Alabama's attention. And I could see Alabama coming in this game much more focused and prepared and not just saying, "Oh, we got the Vanderbilt next time." They've already lost to them. They had all this offseason and being hearing how they had that happen. The 3 losses. They already had the loss to FSU to start the season on their record for being like, how could you lose to Florida State? So they've already gone through that embarrassment. They've already moved through the process. I think this is going to be much more of a focused Alabama team like we saw in Athens last week compared to the team that went up there to Nashville last year and got it handed to them by the Commodores and Diego Pavia. The key to the game, though, is just Alabama keeping their composure. As we saw, there's tons of talent in this roster, and Ty Simpson is playing unreal. I think he's playing at the level where they expected him to be when he came there originally. Offensive line, okay. They're playing well. The running game has been there. Defense played strong when it had to, but how are they going to be ready for an emotionally charged ball game where they're back at home and they know they can't lose 2 in a row? This is going to test the DeBoer air because he was twice to Vanderbilt after beating Georgia. Does it erase all the wins? I have no idea. It won't be good. And you're going to come in with a team Vanderbilt has nothing to lose. They've already gone down to South Carolina. They took on Lenore Sellers, and they beat the Gamecocks pretty handily in the second half. This team is battle tested. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical, and they are going to take punch for punch. And they already have the confidence that, hey, we've done it before. We can do it again. But playing in Tuscaloosa is a different monster than playing in Nashville, even in front of the 50% Vanderbilt crowd. So how can you handle yourself on the road in a much tougher environment there in T-Town and let your emotions be in check and be respectable and not totally get carried away, not talk too much smack after the play? This is not going to be the X's and O's, because we know the two teams are. It's a spread offense. They're going to attack. They're going to play aggressive defense. And Vanderbilt's going to be very physical. And Pavia's going to run around and try to make his magic happen. But it's Pavia keeping his head. It's Alabama players keeping their head. Who can be focused for a full 60 minutes and be able to finish the job? Not talk too much trash. Not too many penalties. Be smart. Run your cadence. Be focused. Disciplined football wins the day. Being able to block, as we saw in the Bama-Georgia game last week, there were times where Georgia looked good and they could run the ball down Alabama's throat. They went for 235 yards. But on the fourth down play, the right tackle completely whiffs and allows the play to be blown up and the ball game basically to be over. So can you be disciplined and play through your assignment football for all of 60 minutes, every single play? You can run for a bunch of yards, but you can only score 21 points. You got to find ways to finish. And that's a big thing for Vanderbilt. They are a run-first disciplined football team. You have to be able to maintain your blocks, execute. Don't give Alabama free plays or free yards, and be able to keep the momentum. Don't fall behind by 14. Last year, they never fell behind by 14. They stayed within a score, and they also were able to jump and have a lead that kept the momentum building. They get down 14-0. This team is not built to come from back from 14. You have to be able to strike and maintain, and play disciplined football. Clarkley has built this program in his image. They are tough. They are defensive. They are relentless. If they can maintain that again, play hardcore, they're in great shape. In the end, though, I really think Alabama has been focused on this. They've had this on their calendar. And when Alabama puts you on their calendar in their locker room offseason, you know something bad's about to happen. LeVar, you've earned my trust. You've beaten Kirby twice. You're going to take care of Vanderbilt, and this one actually might not be close.
Wow. Calling for that big of you saying that Alabama covers the 10.5?
I think they win by 2 touchdowns.
All right. Fresh with Vanderbilt and the Commodores, they're going to have to take a page out of the book of Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, the great Navy general for the Battle of Lake Erie that happened against the British here. And again, you'll see me occasionally have it up there with "Don't give up the ship." They can't give up in this game. They can't give up at all. And honestly, anyone who knows about where Perry's monument is, it's on South Bass Island in Lake Erie, also known as Put-in Bay. And the Commodores are going to have to play as loose as Put-in Bay is on a Friday night. It's known as Key West of the North for a reason, buddy. There's enough time where it's flowing. You're getting going on this, and they are going to have to play relaxed. They have absolutely nothing to lose in this game. The great thing is you got your win over Alabama last year. Diego comes in here, is going to be cocky. He's going to be arrogant. He's going to think that he can win this football game. And again, Vanderbilt, rightfully so, they're 5-0. They're ranked top 16 by the AP. I say that a little bit condescendingly because we know what the AP is like these days. But at the same time, too, okay, you lose. Everyone expects you to lose. You know, Alabama is this brand at the top, and you're Vanderbilt. You're a team that was a plucky upstart. You're still technically probably considered by most people a plucky upstart. You just play loose. You have nothing to lose in this game. And then on top of that, Alabama, you may start to feel the pressure. Alabama's got to put Vanderbilt away very early in this football game. Because if they don't go up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, midway through the second quarter, or I'll even take 17-0 or 21-7. You jump out to a 2-3 score lead. I would then say that Alabama may start to have that pressure creeping in on them. We can't lose this game again. We can't lose to Vanderbilt again. If Vanderbilt says, hey, we got nothing to lose, we beat Alabama, then we really announce ourselves to the remainder of the country and to the SEC. We move from plucky upstart to actual force in college football. They do that. Great. They lose this game. It's a game they're supposed to lose. Oh my gosh, they lost to Alabama. Everyone else lost in the SEC to Alabama. Well, Vanderbilt there too. Again, I like the Commodores in this game on it, especially if they can keep that mentality of just playing relaxed football, let the game come to them. Don't have any pressure on them and say, hey, whatever happens, happens, and we'll give it our shot. If they do that, I think that they can cover the spread. I like Alabama to win this game because, I do think they're going to be focused, but I think we're going to know how the game is going to go by about the 8-minute mark in the second quarter.
I give you that early on. Like, you're going to know just pace. If it's a 7-3, 10-7 kind of ball game, then you're going to start seeing the chipping away. They're like, all right, Vanderbilt's like, we're here. We're in this ball game. We're going to make it a full 60-minute game. Bama's that early strike first team. They've done it versus Georgia, and they can come out and get it done. Then they'll pull away. But if Vandy can stay up there and make it tall, make them drag it out and fight, fumbles happen, incompletes happen, penalties happen. You muck it up, and you never know what you're going to get.
Right. All right, Fresh, let's go to another really interesting game. This one's in the ACC. This is at 3:30 as well. The Virginia Cavaliers, they're 4-1 on the year, 2-0 in the ACC. They just come off a huge upset win over Florida State. I think a lot of people, I said in the wrap-up show that I did with Drew, that most people will look at that and say, oh, Florida State lost to Virginia. Oh my gosh, how horrible. And then you go, Virginia's 4-1 on the year. They're 2-0 in conference play. Louisville is 4-0 on the year, 1-0 in conference play, but they're still somehow unranked. I still don't get that one as well. And they're a 6.5 point favorite because they're at home, over under in this game. A lot of points they're predicting, 62.5 there. Brom has had Louisville be this really solid ACC team in the last couple of years. And Virginia has been a doldrums team, and all of a sudden has picked themselves off the mat and decided to start throwing haymakers here. What do you got for Virginia, Louisville?
Well, this is the Tony Elliott saving everything. Yeah, he's all in. NL's gotten some players. They've gone to the transfer portal, and he knows this is last year. He knows he has to come out and win football games, get the bowl, because I can't remember the last time that Virginia made a bowl game. Like, that ain't in its own. The defense obviously gave up a lot of points to Florida State, and there were opportunities, and they made it when they had to. But offensively, that's where we've seen strides. Chandler Morse, been a journeyman quarterback. Talk about Agapavia on this doctoral program. Chandler Morse has been around for a while, but he's given them a steady source and steady veteran quarterback that's allowed the offense to develop. Then you look at the running back position, Jamari Taylor. This is his 5th year. Now, the first 4 at North Carolina Central, where he had a great season, especially 2 years ago. But this year, he gives him a steady running back. He's been through the battles and understands coverages, understands protection, knows how to hit the hole, and gives us something that can lean on. He has 397 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns so far this year, and he has a pretty good threat out of the backfield from what we have seen at North Carolina Central. So that experience and that threat gives them a 1-2 punch in the backfield that Virginia hasn't had in many, many years. So the two of them, they can keep playing at a high level. The offensive line can find ways to keep protecting, and the defense can just get a stop or two. You're going to be okay. I guess they're going to go 11-1 and play for the ACC championship. No, but they've shown some tremendous progress, and this is another way to tick it off. Nobody expected you to beat Florida State. You're at home, but now there's expectations. Now you have to go on and play a Louisville team who has shown tremendous success over the past few years, played for an ACC title a couple of years ago. And Coach Brom has gotten Purdue, had them be successful, and has taken to Louisville and has Louisville being successful. And now you have to show off. You're like, all right, we shocked people. Now we've got to back it up. Last year, we talked about Vanderbilt in the previous 18. They were able to shock Alabama, and they actually were able to back it up and gave Texas a play for their money. They played hard with Tennessee later on in the year. They were able to show consistent, like we were not just a one-game wonder. Virginia, can you be multiple games? Can you actually show up multiple games? Can you actually show that, hey, we have the talent here. We are ready to actually take the next step and get to a bowl game and beyond. This is the big step, going on the road against one of the better teams in the ACC consistently and showing you can actually play at a high level. On the other side, Louisville, 4-0, kind of just driving, hanging out there in the weeds, doing your own little thing. This is your chance to really make your announcement. That was like, you're not ranked, but Virginia got ranked because they beat Florida State. You have a chance right now to light up the scoreboard and get after it and announce that we are actually the premier team in ACC along with Miami, Georgia Tech. We are supposed to be up here, not Virginia. We're the program that's had multiple years of success consistently and plays at a high level. We already know that Brom can develop quarterbacks and Miller Moss has shown success. But Miller Moss has kind of been struggling. I think that's where we're going to see him have a big game. 5 touchdowns, 8 and 3 interceptions. Waiting for him to take that next step. This game 5 after transferring from USC, as he fully fit into the offense now, he can be actually let the playbook evolve and be able to see the full field. He has a great running back, Isaac Brown, behind him. Don't feel you can't use him, but this is a chance I want to see Miller Moss get after that secondary. Thomas Castellanos in that Florida State offense, they could throw. They were throwing the ball over the Virginia defense. There is that is there, and this will be taken. But you have to be smart about it, make the plays happen, but knowing you have a running game behind you, they can get going. I want to see more from Brown. We had a lot of expectations coming into the year for him, but 268 on 33 carries and 3 touchdowns. I want to see that 100-yard game. But 4 games on the season, 268. Maybe they're resting him. They're trying to get him some rotation, but not fully play him.
He's hurt. He's been hurt. Injured his leg against Bowling Green.
But it's the game I want to see him out there and get unleashed. I'm going to see him back in full rotation. Let him get out there and get after it. You need him for this kind of game. This is where it's going to be coming into an effort of balancing up that passing game and that rushing game. In the end, Louisville's the better football team top to bottom. I don't trust Virginia yet. It's a 1-game wonder. They caught Florida State after a big win and lived on their doldrums for two games after that. Louisville's a much more fully rounded program. They're at home. The Cardinals get it done. I'm not going to say it's a blowout, but I think that Louisville's going to show that they're the team being disrespected and they're the better top to bottom program.
Fresh, I'm glad you brought up Isaac Brown. Unless you dig deep into the local reporters, it's sometimes difficult to find the injury status on certain players. Isaac Brown hurt his leg in, again, I believe it was the Bowling Green game, and he's been kind of hobbled with this lower leg injury. They won't say exactly what it is. He suited up, played a little bit, but you take a look at what he did against Pitt, and you can definitely tell he's not been himself. 14 carries for 20 yards. They keep saying he's healthy. Brom in every press conference says he's healthy. He's just battling through it. Coach speak as well. Again, if you tell me Louisville is going to have a healthy Isaac Brown, just like you're talking about there, Fresh, where I can turn around, he started off the year with 2 back-to-back 100-yard games. So the majority of his rushing yards this year has been in the first 2 games of the season and has done nothing since. That rushing attack makes Miller Moss a better quarterback if he has it behind him. If he doesn't have it behind him, he's going to have to rely on this defense that has been very opportunistic. 6 interceptions on the year, 12 sacks as well. They get a lot of pressure from the front 4 of that defensive line. If they're able to get after it, get Chandler Morris where he's starting to either pee down his leg or starting to hear footsteps or see ghosts or whatever you want to say it, this could turn into a different football game. Again, it's going to come down to who can run the ball. If Louisville has a healthy running game, great. I actually like Louisville in that respect. But Virginia, like you said, Taylor and Whaley, both of them, really, really solid running back. They even got a third guy, Xavier Brown, who's had some carries and been really strong as well. I think it's going to come down to the trenches. Who's going to win at the line of scrimmage? Who's going to be able to run the football at the end of this game and put it away? I'll trust Louisville because they're at home, but I think this may be a field goal type of game.
Interesting. You need to see Miller Moss actually show that he can play in this offense. The running game's going to have to be there, but Miller Moss is going to show that he was the right quarterback because the other quarterbacks have been able to do it. And honestly, he struggled at USC. He wasn't that great. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he's not the guy. We're going to find out here in this game.
Right. All right, Fresh, let's go over to Lincoln, Nebraska. Game's going to kick off at 4:00. It's Michigan State Spartans. They're 3-1 on the year. They're 0-1 in the Big Ten. Nebraska 3-1 on the year, 0-1 in the Big Ten. Right now, Nebraska is an 11.5 point favorite in this game. Over under set at 49.5. I am fascinated by this game here, Fresh, because it is a tale of 2 programs. Which program is going up? Which program is kind of being in that middle of the road there as well? Both got young quarterbacks, Raiola at Nebraska, Aiden Childs over at Michigan State here. Childs has been surprisingly good on the year, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, but he has taken 10 sacks. You also took Frazier over there. I really wish we could see more of Nick Marsh going for Michigan State. Only 18 catches on the year, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has been a fiend at times, but he should be an absolute monster in that offense. What do you got for Michigan State versus Nebraska?
Well, first, 2 good quarterbacks. You mentioned Childs there, but they've combined for 2,000 yards, over 2,000 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, and 2 picks. So you can say they've been efficient, but you also can say they're pretty conservative. They're not willing to take chances because we kind of look 2 interceptions. Are they willing to throw the ball downfield? Are they willing to make the big boy throw when it has to be? Or are they going to be conservative, going back to 10 sacks? So which one steps up? Second, I want to look at Jonathan Smith, year 2 in Michigan State. Where's the progress? Are you going to actually be able to beat a name team? Whether Nebraska is a good team, you're not going to beat a great team yet, but show me something. Northwestern or Maryland. I need you to see beating a legit name program on the road and showing you're actually going to be coming back in that in East Lansing and restoring that fine program, Michigan State, to some sort of respectability. Then lastly, like I've told before, I'm done with Matt Rule. This is a show me game for both, really. You hear all this year 3. You're supposed to get out there. You had all this talent. It's a below average Michigan team right now for other losses they've had the draft the past couple of years. And you choked. You choked at home. You've had 2 weeks now. Michigan State, you need to come out and put the foot down. You need to show passion, show drive. This needs to be a dominant, old school Nebraska beatdown. If there's more kinks in the armor, what's Nebraska football? 6-6, 7-5? Is it really worth anything going forward? It gets old real quick. It's like, all right, here we go. Go get me Bo Pelini again. Where's the pride in Nebraska football? The fans are always going to show up, but I think they're getting tired of just all the rah-rah talk, all the locker room speeches. Give me a win or 2. Win some big games and win them convincingly. You didn't look good in the opener when the game was played in Kansas City versus Cincinnati. You didn't look good versus Michigan. You kind of just hung around, you make it close, but you don't have that finishing drive. Like, where's that attack? Maybe it worked at Baylor and Temple, but now you're playing in the Big Ten. I need to see something from you and the entire team. Where's a ruthless approach that you just dominate somebody? Go out there and get it. I didn't see it from the Panthers either, so maybe I'll start asking more questions about Matt Rule as a head football coach. It's great when you win in American Athletic at Temple when nobody has expectations and you're playing whatever. You did okay at Baylor, but you never won anything really. You got yourself to a Sugar Bowl and you lost. And you got your job with the Carolina Panthers and you were terrible. It's year 3 in Nebraska. I need to see something from you right now. I need something from Daniel as well. You have a bunch of yards, but in that Michigan game, where was that grit? Where's that leadership? I don't need that Patrick Mahomes wannabe rah-rah. I need you to be dominant. I need you to be a Raiola yourself. Go out there and lead the team. Make some big boy throws. Lead your team to victory. At this point, I don't know. Michigan State, give me some effort, but Nebraska, if you don't win this ballgame, well, Nebraska football is just an average football program going forward. And that's all I got to say about this game. It's just, where's the heart, the passion? Where's the ruthless instinct for both these programs? One of them's got to rise up and take it over. In the end, I think Nebraska wins, but they are not covering that spread. It'll be a 3-point game. That's what Matt Rule's going to do. It'll be like 23-1.
I don't think we realize how big of a job Brown had at Michigan State when he takes over. What he had to put the pieces back together. And we both liked him over his time at Oregon State. We thought he did a really great job over there in Corvallis to the point where people started accusing you and me of being closet Oregon State fans. I think we were just kind of putting some respect on what they were doing as a program as a whole. And I think he has done, you take a look, he was 5-7 last year. They're 3-1 this year. And it feels like we've been talking about Aiden Childs for a long time because people forget the kid's a junior. He was over with Brown over there at Oregon State as the backup to DJU. And the interesting thing, I was looking at him today, Presh, is he went from a below 60% completion percentage. He's at 68% right now. Last year, he was, I believe, 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Maybe it was 10. And now he's 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. This kid is showing a really strong progression, but it's not a sexy progression where he's throwing the ball all over the field. He's thrown for 300 plus yards in every single football game he's had. You see him growing as a college football player. And I'm really hoping we see Aiden Childs for one more year. I feel like this type of kid, stick around for your senior season, kid. You could be something really special that senior year and be something where you could really bring the Spartan football program back from almost the doldrums. And you talk about Matt Rule, he's in year 3, Coach Smith. You take a look at what John Smith has done over there and what he's had to work with and how he had to rebuild it. I'd be very impressed. I think it's one of two things in my mind. It's either a lifeline for the Nebraska football program, because now we can say, okay, we beat a quality opponent, because I do believe Michigan State is a quality opponent right now.
They'll be bolting.
Or this is an announcement game for Sparty. It's an announcement game for Sparty. If Sparty goes into Lincoln and beats Nebraska, and I'm not just saying it could be a 1-point win, and Nebraska could say, oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda on that. No, Sparty is 4-1 going into the heart of their schedule where things do get a little bit more difficult. They're going to beat the brakes off of UCLA in East Lansing here in a couple weeks. But then you got to go to Bloomington. You got big brother, little brother coming up. And then a couple weeks later, you got Penn State coming up. It could get a very interesting time to watch the Spartans, or it could be they kind of take a step back. You're going to be in the middle of the pack. John Smith still has work to do. I wouldn't write him off like I'm about ready to write off Matt Rule if he loses this game. But again, you just basically say there's work to be done. Matt kind of is it for you. This is it. So,
like to your point earlier, a 3-point win is not going to give Ispia the right guy, because look, the Rayola quarterback pickup, everyone's asking how they take him. Well, the dude had already decommitted like 4 different times, and he had family lineage to Nebraska. It was more of a, we all knew where this was going to end up. But what else have you done with that rest of that roster? Where's that fire? Where's that maturity? No, all we get is locker room videos. I got to fire up and give this great speech and blah, blah, blah. But the product of the field is, okay, go give me both clean. Go give me both clean. Whatever.
Well, I don't know about that. That's a little bit extreme. But
we're not getting anything different. 6 wins. Great. 6 wins.
Right. But I'd say this. I think my problem isn't so much the offense so much. Again, yeah, the offense is middle of the road and very, but it's the problem that Nebraska is known for the black shirt defense. It's not there.
They're gray shirts right now.
Yeah, off white. In color.
Gun eggshell white. There you go.
Eggshell white. That's going to be a fun one to watch just because it's going to mean so much to either team.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those, you just want to see somebody rise up and play football, and not ugly football. Just go out there and take the reins and dominate a game. We have not seen that in a long time from Nebraska or Michigan State.
Right. All right, Fresh. Let's go over to the Big 12. This is the 7:00 game on ESPN. Well, we kind of knew that Texas Tech would be pretty good. We kind of guessed that they would be decent. They hit the portal hard. They have played very, very well. 4-0 on the year. They're up to number 11. No one really saw the Houston Cougars starting the season 4-0. They picked up Connor Wegman, journeyman Wegman there. And they kind of collected some other guys who haven't left the state of Texas. But Houston's 4-0 on the season. Texas Tech is an 11.5 point road favorite. This game is going to be played in Houston. Over-under in this game is set at 50.5 here. I got a feeling it's going to be a lot of points. And I don't know about you, I kind of like Houston in the plus 11.5 in this game.
Well, first off, Texas already battle tested on the road. They went to Utah, a much tougher place than go and play Houston, and they beat the brakes off that team. There's a reason why Connor Wegman was run out of Texas A&M. But the coaching staff at Houston, they got Tulane onto the spotlight. They were able to coach those boys up, Michael Pratt and company, got Hughes down there, got them to a New Year's Six Bowl, won the Cotton Bowl. So that coaching staff that came from Tulane to Houston knows how to develop players. And that right there is going to get these guys ready to play. They're going to be just fun. They're going to be well coached. They might not have all the talent, but they're going to be put in the right position to be free with their offense and play solid defense. Now, up to this point, so far in the season, they haven't really beat name schools. They beat an average Colorado team, but their record is what they are, and they are playing great football at that point. This is their test, though. This is the real benchmark, because none of us really expected Houston to be anything this year. Coming off last year, they could be the Arizona State this year. Who knows? To your point earlier in one of our previews for Vanderbilt, Alabama, nobody expects Houston to win the game. You have nothing to lose. Nobody expected you to be here at this point in the season. Everybody expected Texas Tech to be in this rising program because of all the money they spent in NIL and because of what they did to Utah. So you can come into this ball game playing free, taking chances. You have no risk. If you lose the game, so what? It's just a loss. If you check it off, you move on, keep making strides. If you win, you're like, hey, we are who we are, and Texas Tech's a fraud. So this is a big chance for the Cougars at home. Just play loose and free. There is one interesting fact, though, that both these teams have actually played a common opponent. Oregon State. This is not the same Oregon State program that it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago with Pac-12. They've been gutted by the portal. They're obviously in the Pac-2. But Houston beat Oregon State 27-24 in overtime last week. Texas Tech beat them 45-14. If you want to look at common opponents early in the season, and one of them beat the living junk out of them, the other one survived. That is a telling sign to me that there are talent differences between these two squads. And if Texas Tech can come and be disciplined, like we've been asking Coach McGuire and the Red Raiders to be for a while, with all this money spent through NIL, they could do it. They have to remain focused, and they can't let anything slip. They were focused at Utah. They were focused for Oregon State. They've been focused for other teams so far this year. They are where they are. Can they live up to this again on the road? Connor Wegman, though, needs to hit the big-time plays. In their wins, Steve Johnson has 8 receptions for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 29.4 yards a catch. He's the big play guy. He's going to have a few game-changing plays on Saturday night to really give them a chance. Texas Tech, if your front seven can get home, especially front 4 can get home, you're able to put safety over the top and keep them there. If you can't get home with your front 4, you have to bring an extra safety or linebacker. That's going to let Johnson and some other receivers be available for that one-on-one coverage of the big play. They're going to take their shots. They're not going to sit back and dink and duck, but you have to be able to get home with 4. If not, that's a lot of these freedom in the secondary to make things happen. In the end, I think Texas Tech, they're on a mission. They know there's expectations there. They have a lot of talented players, especially in the defensive side, that Houston's offensive line and Houston and Wegman himself have not seen this season, and that's going to be the biggest difference. Texas Tech will cover the point spread. They will go in there. They're focused. They're driven. I like what Morton's doing on offense, but that defense itself, especially at front 7, is just a machine, and they're going to keep coming in waves on Saturday night and put giving the Cougars a reality check in front of their home crowd.
I like calling the Houston Cougars the Hoogers. That's a good nickname for them.
Hoogers. You know what? I should be good with that. They're a no-name type of team, the Hoogers.
Hoogers. Yeah, Houston Cougars. I've been so impressed with how balanced Texas Tech's offense has been. Going into the season, we expected them to throw the ball all over the field. Morton has a track record in that. And again, they kind of have done that still. They got 5 receivers right now. All of them have over 200 yards receiving as well. I mean, there are very few programs that can say that. They spread people out. They force you to cover. They got some size on the outside. They got a tight end that can go across the middle, catch the football. They got a little bit of everything on that offense there. I still question is, can Houston change? Can you be at home and can you change the type of game that Texas Tech wants to play? Texas Tech, if they can play their football game and they can just put beat a breakdown to you. You brought up the Utah game there, Fresh. And you're right. It's a good point to have. But look at what Utah did for 3 quarters against Texas Tech. They held them to 10 points. Now, all of a sudden, Texas Tech explodes for 24 points in the 3rd quarter, and they wind up beating Utah 34-10. But up until that fourth quarter, that game was really, really close. Utah eventually broke. Like they broke down. They weren't playing their game. They weren't playing that defensive side of the game. If Houston can kind of do that to Texas Tech again and hang around in there, Wegman was a 5-star talented quarterback. He is a kid that does have some serious talent. That's why people wanted him so bad coming out of high school. Now, with all that being said, I still do fully expect Texas Tech to win this football game. I just want to know if Houston can muck it up. Can they change the offense that Texas Tech wants to run? If Texas Tech jumps out to a lead, again, I kind of feel like I'm saying the same thing for Texas Tech as I said earlier. If Texas Tech jumps out to a lead, 14, 17 points, Houston does not have the firepower to get back in it. And this game is going to get ugly quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm going to say that Houston can muck it up. I'm not uber confident put anything on this, but I'm going to say Houston kind of mucks it up. Texas Tech wins, but I'm going to say Texas Tech wins by 10, not the 11.5 that they need to cover. Still think it's going to be a double-digit win. I think on the scoreboard, where you look at the box scores at the end of the day, you're going to say, well, okay, Texas Tech had a solid win over a 4-0 Houston team. But again, I think it's going to be tougher than Texas Tech thinks. I don't think they're just going to waltz right in there and just beat the brakes off them.
It'll be a fun game. Unfortunately, I would rather have this be like a noon kickoff. It's going to get mass watching 7 o'clock games later, especially the Florida State Miami game. But it'll be a chance to sort of see some talent being played there. Seeing actually getting more eyes on that Texas Tech football team and then a peek at Houston and what they really have to offer and how they grow and develop their team.
Right. All right, first, let's go to another one. This one's a fun one. Mississippi State, 4-1 on the year. There's an argument that they should be very close to 5-0 on that. They barely lost to the Tennessee Volunteers. They're going to travel to Kyle Field and face the number 6 in the land, Texas A&M Aggies. They're 4-0 on the season here as well. At time of record right now, this spread is 14.5. Over under is set at 55.5. Fresh, we have been pretty impressed with Mike Elko so far this year. I don't know about you, and I don't know if it's just over time. I just keep waiting for that Texas A&M dud game to happen. It feels like A&M, when everything is the highest of highs, all of a sudden you had that huge letdown game. Is it against Mississippi State? This is a tough team. Beat Arizona State, and most people haven't really been thinking that. And again, they got Baylor quarterback Blake Shapen. He transferred in there from them. He's a senior now. It feels like we've been talking about him forever too. So what do you got for A&M Mississippi State?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, wait for that dud game, because you go up there, you survive Notre Dame, maybe get lucky because of a holding call or didn't get flagged, whatever. You escape, and you play Auburn, a good Auburn team that's actually it's improved, and you have a slug match, you win 16-10. That's, we have Mississippi State now. The name itself, we have Mississippi State. You have to be on your P's and Q's. You can't waste an opportunity. Last year, they wasted an opportunity at Auburn. They've had trouble with Auburn past 2 years. Actually, it's fun. You can't waste these opportunities. These are games you see stack wins. Because you got to play Texas in Austin later in the year. We don't know how that's going to go, but still, every school has one problem. Now, Georgia has a Bama problem. Tennessee has a Georgia problem. A&M has a Texas problem. You can't give up a potential game there by losing this game here. You got to take care of business. It doesn't have to be pretty. You just need to chalk off another W, grind it out. You have the talent. What we've seen from Marcel Reed, the offense is definitely transformed. He's given us mobility. The receivers play well with him. They're able to run the football. You have that opportunity. Just go out there and just attack. Play within yourself. Defensively, I think Elko, he's shown a little bit lackadaisical versus Notre Dame, but you played real well versus Auburn. Can you handle the spread offense here against, wide open, fun and gun mentality of spread, whatever you actually want to call it? Jeff Lebby and Blake Shapen have done amazing work so far. You're not going to completely shut it down, but you pull the bubble and control it and manage the football game. You're not going to, if you win 30-0, great. It's probably not going to happen. but manage yourself, manage your pace. Don't get too much for yourself. Don't let Mississippi State feel like they can hang around. They jumped out early. They took care of Arizona State. They played very, very competitive. Tennessee let them hang around and went overtime with them. They have a team of talent there. They built it the way they want. Levy's done through the portal and through some recruiting. They are going to be right there, and they're going to fight you. You can't let them hang around, or they might get you in the end. You mentioned Chapin. Last year, coming to Mississippi State, being hurt almost the entire season, really getting another year under Levy, but not actually playing. Now he's used that experience. He's ready to take that last year of his basically college career and just sling it. So if he can attack the defense and play with a reckless abandon, they have some receivers there that can make some plays. We've already seen that happen a few times this year. But can the defense rise up and finish? They looked improved. They played well versus Arizona State. They had some moments versus Tennessee, looked improved. They couldn't finish the job. The defense can take the step this week and get some stops. That allows Chapin in that offense to really take shape. But the real key to this game is going to become the running game. Both these teams have some solid running backs that I think are going to really change how we move this ball game, who can control the clock and maybe grind it out in the second half. Fluff Bothwell for Mississippi State, 70 carries, 405 yards, and 6 touchdowns, averaging 5.8 a carry. And Le'Veon Moss, 54 carries, 307 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 5.7. Obviously, they're the lead backs for both their teams, but the ground game is very significant for both these offenses, and they have to be able to maintain that, especially late in the fourth quarter. Can you grind out a game? Can you grind out a drive and put the game away? If Bothwell can get going, that is going to really give Chapin that Mississippi State offense something to build off of. Then they have a 1-2 punch, get some key first down, especially late in the ball game. Keep it within reach. Keep their defense on the sideline. Let them rest. This is going to be a hostile environment. It's going to be a lot different. But can they grow up? Can the Bulldogs of Mississippi State take that next step and really grow as a team and as a program? Are they fully there yet? We're going to find out. I have a chance to really get up there and show their ability. So they're not just a doldrum of the SEC. We're going to get beat down by everybody. At first glance, you're kind of like, man, this is the game that A&M should roll. They should handle it, handle the business. I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be a tight ball game through the fourth quarter. And Mississippi State might have a chance. It'll be a one-score ball game. I think A&M wins 34-31, just because I trust Reed more late in the fourth quarter. But A&M is going to let Mississippi State hang around. This is not going to be an easy affair. It's not going to be a walk in the park. And they're going to continue to play the fine line of we're going to be a good football team, but we're not going to blow anybody out. And at some point, it's going to come haunting. I don't think it's going to haunt them this Saturday, but somewhere down the road, A&M's going to get bit for it. They just don't have that ability to put up 2 scores and blow somebody out. But credit to Mississippi State. They're going to fight hard, and they're going to make it a full 60-minute battle.
So, freshman, when I was looking at Mississippi State, I went back and I took a look at the Arizona State game and what they did to Levitt and were able to contain his rushing ability too. I kind of looked over at Marcel Reed and said the same thing. Like, Marcel Reed is most dangerous because of his ability to run the football. He's done better this season. I think A&M and Elko has gotten him to stay in the pocket a little bit more, make some throws from there. He's not a great passer. He's a good passer. Again, 60% completion rate, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions as well. He's only got 5 sacks in the year. But the difference is Moss and Owens. If Moss and Owens can get really rolling for the Aggies here, I think it could get kind of ugly as well. You take a look at what Owens did in just 3 carries against Auburn, 50 yards on the day. Kid's a big play machine there. Mississippi State has got to be able to stop Texas A&M's run attack there. If they're able to put this game, kind of play a contained style of football, force Reed to beat them from the pocket, it could get really dicey for Texas A&M. Again, if I flip it over and talk about Mississippi State, I'm going to say the same thing that you're saying here. You run the football. Are you able to dominate the line of scrimmage? Are you able to get that rushing attack going for the Bulldogs? If you're able to do that against this A&M defense, it could really turn out to being a really tough game. It is going to probably wind up being a dogfight in this one. Take a look at the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love. Now, again, none of Mississippi State running backs are to the talent of Jeremiah Love. But again, if you can produce something in the aggregate, Price and Love wound up running for over 150 yards between the two of them. It was very, very impressive. It's a very impressive game by what they were able to do against this A&M front four. I think this is going to be a fast game. I think it's going to be over in about 2.5 hours. I actually like what you said there. I think that this is going to be really, really close because I think possessions are going to be at a premium. There's not going to be a lot of incompletions. Both teams are going to want to keep the ball on the ground. I actually like the under in this game, under 55.5. And again, I'll go with you as well. I like Mississippi State to in that plus 14.5. So I can see this as maybe like a 24-20 type of game, 27-20, right in that realm. Texas A&M wins it. But again, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a dogfight all the way up until the fourth quarter.
And that's going to be a bigger win for Mississippi State than for A&M. That's going to show that Jeff Lebby is the right coach. And year 3, you're going to start seeing some recruits that are going to be in there, but also transfer players are like, I actually want to go start Vegas and play some football. We're not just recruiting freshmen, high school seniors anymore, high school juniors. You're thinking about, hey, you're going to get out of the portal. They want to see what we're doing. We're not just going to get beat by everybody and run over. Very similar to what Vanderbilt's doing. Like once you get a couple of wins and start building momentum, it becomes a much more intriguing option. Not just from an NIL perspective, but hey, we can actually win some ball games. So you go out there and put up a fight. It's going to raise more questions about A&M. It's like, all right, well, maybe you take it lucky versus Notre Dame. You survived Auburn. At some point, when's that glass slipper going to fall off?
Right. All right, Fresh, let's go to the main game, the game of the week. This is a rivalry from the 80s and 90s. Both teams are really, really solid right now. The Miami Hurricanes, they're 4-0 on the season. They have looked good along the way. The defense has shown back up there. Florida State, the Seminoles come off an amazing win, then beat the living bejesus out of 2 slappies, and then kind of go up on a Friday night up to Virginia and get shell-shocked, although there was a kind of a questionable reviewable call at the end of that overtime game. Argument can be made that Florida State should be 4-0, but they're not. They're 3-1. Miami's 4-0 on the year. Right now, time of record, Miami is a 4.5-point road favorite in this game. That really scares me in a game like this between these two programs. We're going to learn a lot about Miami, and we're going to learn a lot about Florida State. One of these two teams, if Florida State loses this, I don't know if there's a path I can see for them getting into the playoff, let alone the ACC title game. I think this means a lot for the Seminoles.
Well, first off, we've always worried about the NIL era from the portal perspective of just bringing in guys and loading up the steam to the transfer portal. And how will they all gel when things get messy? Last year, it was a very portal-heavy team. They went and lost. Georgia Tech made it messy. The team lost, and then the bottom fell out. The year before, they kept winning, and everything was going great. No issues. Obviously, losing Jordan Travis in that playoff experience, the whole scenario was just different. But last year, an NIL bringing guys to the transfer portal, using the NIL to attract more players, getting them all there, building a free agent roster, if you will. Once things went south, they had no team to really stop the bleeding. How will this team be different? So they look past Virginia, and then they lose in traumatic fashion, have Miami coming up. How will this team rebound and gel within a week to be able to take on the Hurricanes, who are a very good football team? This is going to be a real test for Mike Norvell and that entire coaching staff. And the players themselves. Who is the leader in that locker room, the true leader? You have Deuce Robinson came in from USC. You got guys from Alabama. You got Cassidy at Boston College. Guys from all over. It was great. You had no pressure when you beat Alabama. It was a season opener. You had the entire season. If these are lost, nobody would have cared. But now the pressure's on. You already lost one, a game you shouldn't have lost. Can all those guys pick each other up and look at each other and say, we're Seminoles. We're not just individuals. We're Seminoles. We're playing for the helmet. We're playing for the fans in the stands. How does this entire program respond against your biggest rival? That is what I'm testing right now. If Mike Norvell is not going to seem ready to play, this actually might be a more damning statement on his entire resume that he just can go out there. If anything's great, it's all great. But when things are bad, he can't actually keep the team lined up and get them refocused. And that's a problem. So it's a big time right now for Norvello's coaching experience. How does he get his team refocused and locked in? How does Gus Malzahn also call a better game? Because there were some play calls that you're like, why are we doing this? What's going on? Where's the offense that we saw? And then defensively, you play really good versus Alabama. You had 2 slappies. I was there for one of them. It was terrible. Like, the defense was just supposed to dominate. What adjustments are you being prepared to have made from this past week versus Virginia that Miami is going to be queuing on to be prepared to change it up and attack the Hurricanes? You're going against a very experienced quarterback in Carson Beck, some talented receiver, an offensive line is good, and a defense that's really improved for the Hurricanes. You've got to be focused, laser focused, and we're locked in the entire night. And use joke to your advantage. Get the crowd in there. Let the chop actually an impact. It could get ugly early. You cannot avoid it. You need a full 4 quarters, the entire full deep-throated Florida State fan base to get loud into the deep Tallahassee night and make a difference. The crowd's your advantage. Challenge Carson Beck in that Hurricane offense. This is their first road game. They have a lot of transfers as well. How fast are they able to gel in a hostile environment? How can we actually see them play on a level where the expectation now is they should win? You have everything for you, but you have to come out there and play focused and regroup quickly and be mentally sharp from start to finish. If you can respond, we're going to know in the first quarter. We're going to know how you come out. Can you actually show up in that first drive, lockstep, go right down the field, score, and then defensively get off the field? If you are, it's like, all right, now we're in for a fight. If you come out there 3 and out, sloppy, defense gets driven down the field, 7-0 Hurricanes, that doubt of, here we go again, is going to seep in, not just to your own sideline, but the entire stadium. Because they saw it versus Virginia, and they saw it last year. When things were bad, things spiraled out of control. Who can be the stopgap for the Seminoles? The Hurricanes are a great football team so far. They are well refined. They are focused. They are driven. You have to be able to maintain your focus at the same time. Stop the pain and reset and punch back. The Florida State football team can't punch back. This season could get out of hand. I'm not saying they're not going to make a bowl game, but expectations of where they could be in the Alabama game, and that win could mean nothing. If you don't go out here versus Florida State, versus Miami, and play Florida State football of the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you need to get back to your standard. Be resilient. Be Seminoles. The other side, Carson Beck, you played well versus Florida. You threw the late interception. You be smart and steady. Guide your football team. On the road is where you need veteran quarterbacks to step up. Well, we've seen from Carson Beck when he's at Georgia. A couple of years ago in 2023, went to Auburn, went to Tennessee. He was actually focused and got things done. It might not have been the most pretty, but he made throws when he had to. 2024 was different. But 2023, he made throws when he had to. You need to be that same kind of focused quarterback. Keep your offense calm. Get your third down conversions. Drive the football. Don't try to do too much, but make the good throws on third down. Make the good throws on first down. Make the simple ones. Hopefully, receivers catch the football, but you have to be calm and under control. If a receiver drops the ball, do not freak out. Do not try to force the football, because that is where you always go wrong. When a receiver drops the ball, then you start thinking, I've got to do more. You start forcing throws into traffic, balls that should not be thrown at all, and that's where you spiral out of control. So which of these two teams and groups and individuals can maintain a mental stability and a wherewithal, calm demeanor through the ball game, one play at a time, stay focused, rebound, don't let it spiral out of control. I think Florida State's going to come out fired up, which is a different Florida State team from last year. They're going to come out. They looked ahead of Miami at Virginia. They paid their price. Castellanos is a lot better than DJU. He's going to keep them grounded. This is going to be a 4-quarter old school Miami Florida State game. This will not be a 45-42 game. This is going to be like a 20-17 ball game. Defenses will play at a high level. There'll be a fight. If Florida had offense when they played Miami, this kind of game would have probably played out. I think Florida State is going to win the game 2017. They've already been battle tested. I think they're going to rebound. They're going to pull off a huge upset and save their season, keep themselves the ACC picture. Miami, first road test. I think they're going to have some hiccups, and a Carson Beck turnover in the fourth quarter will be the deciding factor.
So I was looking at the Hurricanes here fresh, and all season long, no one has started out fast on them. No one has ever jumped out to a first quarter lead on the Hurricanes. And I'm kind of wondering, I'm looking real quick here. Anyone has scored. Yep. No one has scored a first quarter touchdown on the Hurricanes all season. That changes on Saturday night. Doak, you have done all this renovation. It's a nice stadium that has been made even better with what the changes that they have made there. And this is the game that you're needing to really get up for. Yeah, I get it. First game of the season is against Alabama. And it's a nice win. You get jacked up for it. It also was what? A 3:30 kickoff, if I remember right?
3:30 kickoff, thunderstorms in the area, rainy, but definitely packed.
Right. It's the Hurricanes. Florida State really dislikes two sets of fan bases. The University of Florida, and Bubble Screen Billy is basically on a death march through the rest of the season. And the Miami Hurricanes. The Hurricanes haven't been relevant for almost 20 years now. And all of a sudden they have popped back up. They are playing lights out football. And then the Seminoles. It has been a roller coaster ride since Jimbo Fisher has left you. Norvell has had good times. He's had bad times. I know everyone's going to point to Castellano, but the guy I'm going to really take a look at here is Gavin Sawchuk. Now, anyone who's listened to this show for a very, very long time has known I have been extremely high on Gavin Sawchuk since he committed to Oklahoma. And I can still remember watching his senior year highlight reel and seeing just the level of his speed jump off the page. Now, again, these are D1 athletes, running backs, defensive backs. They all run track. They all have speed in high school as well. I always thought that Sawchuk was different. I thought that Oklahoma didn't utilize him the right way and thought he could have been better. He is living up to that level of expectation here right now. 42 carries on the year, 230 yards, 6 touchdowns already through 4 games here. I think that they're going to ride him early. I think that they need to throw some body blows at the Miami Hurricane, especially in that front part of their defensive line. You may have a couple of possessions that are 3 and outs. Early on this game, you throw some body blows at them. But sooner or later, I got a feeling that line's going to break. I got a feeling that one of these guys is going to take one. And next thing you know, those 3 to 4 yard runs are going to turn to 7 and 8 yard runs. It's going to happen at some point. Now, again, can the Seminoles set up their run game to allow Castellano to pass the ball? He's been okay as a thrower. Not great, not terrible. I don't love the 3 interceptions there. But I think eventually you're going to have to throw the ball to beat the Miami Hurricanes. We've talked about this as well. Carson Beck has looked so much better this season as well. He does still occasionally make mistakes. He does get some happy feet. And again, the Seminoles are going to have to step up and stop the rushing attack. Fletcher has been phenomenal for the Hurricanes. I get this feeling, though, Fresh. One, I just got a feeling. Now, if Norvell would only get rid of Gus Malzahn, and not because of what Gus Malzahn did at Florida State, it's why I hate him because of what he did at Auburn, and didn't sign autographs for little kids, but that's a different time and place for another story. I still hate Gus Malzahn. I got a feeling Florida State's going to win this game. They need to win this football game. I think Florida State is going to come in, and I think they're going to try to jump on Miami early. If you can force the Hurricanes to play from behind, if you can force Beck to kind of abandon the run game, throw the football, I think that could be a great thing for this Seminole secondary as well. I love that they have Earl Little Jr. Former dad played for the Cleveland Browns. I remember him really, really good growing up as a kid. I would love to see them do that. Jump on Miami early, force them to throw. I think Miami's going to come back in the game. I agree with you. Close game here. I got 28-27. Seminoles win. Late touchdown comes in, and Florida State celebrates. You're going to see them rush the field in this one, pay the fine for fans on the field, and the Seminoles are going to get a huge win over the Miami Hurricanes and their rival.
Well, there's also, speaking of the Hurricane defense, this is going to be the fastest offense they've seen all year. The one thing they have done is add a lot of speed, and the Deuce Robinson is a matchup nightmare that I don't think anybody in the Hurricane secondaries can match up with. So I can definitely see it over under corner safety shadow on him. So that's already taking two guys out of that formation. How does the rest of the offense, every single inch of space that Melzline uses, really impact that defense? So this is going to be a game. I think we're going to see a lot of hard hitting, but it's going to be a very tight ball game all the way through. But Florida State, I still think wins.
All right, Fresh, let's do some quick hits here. Give me something quick on one of your other games that you're looking at.
One thing I'm looking at, Kansas at UCF. Both teams coming out terrible losses. Which can regroup and keep their season afloat? Kansas have a clunker, and UCF undefeated goes like K-State and gets beat down on. So I want to see which one of these two programs can find a way to regroup their season, go out and get a dub, keep it alive. And Seth, kind of looking at back to you. Give me a Big Ten action. Washington at Maryland. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, again, I want it. Maryland's 4-0 on the year. And just like every other team, how they take the next step? Do they go 5-0? Is Washington able to handle the trip completely across country? Malik Washington, man, kid's been balling out over there in Maryland here. Again, another one of those quarterbacks that you probably have not seen a whole lot of. Maryland 4-0 on the year. If they go to 5-0, it's going to make the end of their season. They got some real interesting matchups late in the season. Get real interested in those. But again, can Washington recover from the loss to Ohio State? I thought the Huskies should be ranked. Lost to Ohio State. We'll see which one of these teams is ready to be in that middle tier of the Big Ten. Fresh, I know you're interested to talk about this one. Syracuse at SMU. What do you got for Syracuse SMU?
Well, first of all, look at SMU. Rhett Lashley, his name's being floated around as the next official head coach at Arkansas. Has a lot of connections to the state. And SMU is 2-2. The 2 wins versus a bunch of slappies. Their 2 losses were to Baylor and TCU. Which SMU team are we going to see? There's tons of money. You're in the ACC. Where's everyone's head at? How do they respond? This is being ACC opener. Last year they played for the title. They went to a playoff. They do not look like a playoff team. They will not be a playoff team once they win the ACC this year. But how do they respond? In Syracuse, you go beat Clemson, and then you get your doors beat off by Duke. Which Syracuse team are we going to see this week? How's Fran Bragg going to get that team reorganized? That's why I'm just looking at those 2 situations and how those head coaches had their teams focused heading this week. And then lastly, sticking to ACC, I think you have a conversation about, speaking of Duke and Cal. Give me your thoughts.
It's 10:30 at night. Duke somehow is going across the country to Berkeley and is still right now a 2.5-point favorite. Sangapuatella, and I practiced that name multiple times prior to this record, has been lights out over there in Cal. Probably one of the best true freshman quarterbacks. They got a great running back in Raphael over there as well. Is Duke able to kind of continue this hot streak? They lost 2 games, go 1-2, but then they beat the brakes off of North Carolina State. They beat the brakes at Syracuse. Are they able to keep that momentum going? They got a big matchup coming up against Georgia Tech. I want to know which one of these teams is a real contender in the ACC and which one is really just a paper tiger and not really that great. I like Cal in this game for some reason.
At home in Berkeley, things get weird. Because that's a tough trip to keep Duke going. We've seen them. They went to Tulane and lost. So I like that's a good thing. Which Duke team are we going to see? How can they remain focused?
Yeah. All right, fresh pick of the week was a brutal one last one.
Cool. Yeah, we were 4-4 in the year after Syracuse got their butts whooped. Interesting line looking through it. Iowa State is a 1.5-point underdog at Cincinnati. And we've kind of Iowa State kind of just hung around under the weeds before. We had questions about them. Last week, they looked really, really good. It's a weird line, but you know what? I put my faith in Matt Campbell. I'm taking the Cyclones to win plus 100 money line outright on the road at Cincinnati and keep their Big 12 title hopes and title championship game appearance hopes intact and moving forward. So give me the Cyclones plus 100 money line to take down Cincinnati.
I love it there, Fresh. I love that pick right there. I think that definitely, I'm shocked that they're a dog at Cincinnati.
Hey, they have to say somebody knows something, but I'm going to go ahead and rely. I'm going to bet on Matt Campbell in this case. Take him and the Cyclones take out the Bearcats.
All right. Well, folks, you've been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. Hey, before you head on here, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every single time we drop a new episode. It is the month of October. We're here. It is the spooky season of college football. The teams are about ready to separate themselves. Who's a true contender? Who's a pretender? Make sure you're locked in with us all the way throughout the season. Make sure you check out SpinableSports.com because the Irrational Confidence Podcast is part of SpinableSports.com. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Fresh, it's week number 6 on the year. I love it. I love some of these matchups. And we're going to cruise in. We got some big weekends coming up that you guys are not going to want to miss.
Hey, every week is big. Every game means something, especially as you want to make the hunt toward the playoff. You can't take anybody lightly, and you have to keep focused and take one play at a time and find a way to just get through the ball game. Wins are all that matters. Stack W's as the season progresses. And with that, folks, don't forget to hit us up, SpinableSports.com, for all our great content there. Subscribe to Spinable Sports YouTube channel where everything you can find, whether it's this podcast, the premier flagship podcast, the Irrational Confidence Podcast, or the Power Hour Podcast. Also, hit us up any way possible on social, through Twitter and X, whatever you want to call it. Engage with us, talk to us. We want to hang out with you and get your thoughts wherever we possibly can. And until next week with our recap video, we'll catch y'all later. Bye, y'all.